Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to Friday Knits. I'm Phoebe. Today I am going through my organization. I'm still in organization mode. January is like that month where you get everything organized in your life, so I thought it was worth organizing all my knitting stuff. If you watched my last video, you would see that I did a yarn organization. So here I wanted to show you guys just even further how I plan on organizing my projects, making sure I sort of go through my yarn stash this year as well, and making sure I have time to knit the things that I want to knit as well, not just designing, but we'll see how that goes obviously. So I'm going to get into it here. Right here you can see that this is my stash here that I have put all into Excel. So this is basically everything that I have within my stash, my yarn stash. These headings are all just headings that I've made up that I use for myself. So I'm going to take you through them. So I've organized everything by brand for myself because I'm just the sort of person that will remember the brand of something first before I remember like the name of it. So for example, hobby yarns, I just put everything I bought from hobby in within this section here, so I know that when I'm looking for it I can just go straight here and be like, yep, it's there. And these are all the yarns that I have from hobby. So for example, the unicorn solids, I have 2 in the green tea color here in a fingering weight yarn, and I've created like a drop down menu here as well so that I can just choose it there so I don't have to keep typing it in. The fiber content, I know it's just like a superwash. I haven't filled it in, but I can just fill it in here like superwash merino. In the meter section, I will just type it in manually. You can get all this information off the tag of your yarn as well, for anyone wondering where you get that. And then here I've created a formula so that I will multiply the total meters by however total skeins I have. And then it'll automatically generate that for me. Also, I know that some people work by the weight of the yarn, as in like the grams. I've never done that myself. I don't really use that. But the thing is, if you do decide you want to do something similar to this, you can definitely just change that up and make this about like the weight, go by weight or yards or whatever it is for yourself. So here I created 2 columns here to assign it to a different project. So the reason I have 2 columns of assigned is because one is for my knitting designs. For example, if it's all the designs I want to make, like I want to make patterns for. This is just for projects that I want to make, and that is other designers' projects that I like. So for assigned, when I say I've assigned it, I will click it like that and it will automatically highlight the row for me so that I know that I have put that yarn to this project. So I can be like, yep, this is what I want to use it for. And then once the whole stash is used, for example, if I finish this here, I'll just click it like that and it'll just cross it out, but I haven't finished that yet. So yeah, so you can see I've put it all through here. I've got all the different brands through here, and obviously if I just keep buying yarn, then I will just add it in here, and I'll try and, you know, maybe before I buy yarn, maybe it'll help me like think of the yarn I do have before I go ahead and purchase it. But yeah, so I've created this spreadsheet, which has been really helpful for me. This might be a bit much for some people, but for me it's working out so far. All of these little formulas that I've created here, I used another YouTuber's video, someone who does Excel spreadsheets and does all these things. I used one of those videos to create this, and I did this about a month ago, so I don't remember how I did it, but I will link you guys the videos below, so if you are interested you can definitely follow their techniques. I will go through a little bit like to show you in here how I sort of assign the skeins, and then how I know how many skeins I have left of something. Yeah, I've sort of set it up so that I can sort of forget about it and just do it. So now I'm going to take you into the tab down here for knitting designs, and these are designs that I want to design for not just for this year, but I just put it in here. When I come up with an idea, I'll write it down and then I'll draw it up on my iPad, make a little sketch of it and keep it there so that when I'm done with my next project, I can just go there automatically and be like, yep, this is what I want to make next. So I've got one here. I've got a few here to show you guys already. Here I've got the lost tank. You can see that is crossed out, and that is because I have completed that. It is all done. It is out in the world, and I released it December 16th, so last year. These two here, you may have seen on my Instagram already. I've got the lost cami and the lost shorts. These are currently in testing at the moment, and they will complete testing on the 27th of January here. So here I was planning on making another cami, but I decided not to, so that's just in testing on its own. Here I actually made another color of shorts, so I used the Cascade Heritage yarn in pink, which is a fingering weight yarn. I didn't put the meters here, but if I put in, I didn't end up using 400 meters, but I did use almost a whole skein, but I'll put in 400 there, and you'll see that it generated the 400 there. Here I didn't put in the knees, but I'll pop that in. Size extra small. All of these are usually the size extra small I should add in. But if I ever do decide to, I guess, make a sample that's a larger size, then I'll have that option. Yeah, so testing, and you can see here another pattern. I have a work in progress. It's a dress I'm currently making, and this is the yarn I'm using for it. And meters, needles, I'm using 3.25, I'm pretty sure. I'm making extra small. This column is, I think it has the same as this column here, so I don't really know why I have that there, but I don't need it. And this one is, I've just set my own timeline here. I've set up a timeline to be done by the 3rd of February so that maybe I can start testing. But again, that's just, I can change that later on. And here I created a formula so that if I do decide to change this date, so for example, if I go oh, I want to give myself a bit more time, another week, it'll automatically change there. So here you guys can copy that formula up here if you want to do that as well. But again, I don't really understand the language of it, so yeah. Yeah, so this is what I've been using now to sort of keep a track of the yarn I'm using and then keep a track of what I want next. Up here you'll see I have 15 projects that I have written down, so obviously you can't see the 50. I do have a few more down the bottom here. So this dress I'm making, it's gonna have, that's just for me, so I know it's the one with the buttons and it's got an I-cord, and it's a dress. The yarn I'm using is this Hobby, I should say it's the Hobby Rainbow Bamboo yarn, and I think I'll need more than 2 skeins. I actually think I'll need 4. So what I've done here in terms of formula is here you can see I've just sort of popped that in there, but this number, if I change it, it will change the amount in my stash here. You can see here where I've got Rainbow Bamboo, I have 4 skeins of that total. I am currently using 2, as you saw in the other spreadsheet, and now I have 2 remaining, meaning that this is how much I have left, and I did assign it to this project. But actually I think I'm going to need maybe at least 3 or 4 skeins. So here or here you'll see the number change, because I'm going to go back to this and change the number to 4, because I think I might need all 4 of the skeins. Enter. I'm going to go to my stash, and you can see it's changed here to 0. And here you can see also it's 250 meters per skein, so I should actually change that here to 250, and that's about 1,000 meters, which makes a bit more sense for a dress in my size. So that is how I've sort of set the formula. And what I've done is, the reason why I have 3 of these columns is here I've got the total amount of skeins. So this is where I'll put in all of my yarn. When I get it, I'll be like, yep, I got 4 skeins of this. And then I'll duplicate that. This is just a duplicate of it so that I can use the formula with this column, which is the skeins remaining. And the reason for that is because I want to, why do I want to do that? I had a reason. It's because once you do the formula, both these columns will say the same thing. So they'll both be on 0 all the time. And I wanted to know what I started with. So that's why I keep that there. And then you can formula this. And yeah, so here you can see up the top, because I've assigned it there, it's put in like, it's in this, what do you call it, tab, or this page, which is down here, Knitting Designs 2023. And then here with like the framework bralette, for example, you can see it's in Knitting Projects, which is this one here. And these are the projects that I want to make. And it's pretty much very similar, except I sort of, there are some things that I don't really need because I'm not designing it. So for example, the meters for the projects, that I'll find that within the pattern and I'll be like, yep, this is how many meters it needs. And then I can go to my stash and be like, okay, I've got this many meters of this yarn. So I think this will be a good yarn to use for it. Yeah, so I'll type it in manually here, the amount of skeins I need. And then in here is where I'll make the formula for it and be like, yep, so in Knitting Projects on in the cell D21, which is D21, I'll need 1 skein of that. And then that shows, that will take it away from that. And there was only 1 skein there anyway. It'll take it out of that. And it'll tell me I have 0 skeins remaining of it. And that it's assigned to that. So yeah, I think like technically it sounds really complicated and that it doesn't make much sense, but it's actually really useful for me so far. I think last year I purchased some yarn and I had no idea what I bought it for, and I didn't write it down. I didn't write anything down. So I think this is like really useful for me. So next up is a knitting journal, a digital knitting journal I should say. In my quest to find sort of the perfect way to organize my knitting life, I thought a knitting journal would work. Maybe it was just an excuse to use my pen, but I really couldn't find like a knitting journal that I really loved. So I just decided to sort of make one for myself. This might not have everything that everyone else might find useful, but I did look at a lot of digital journals on Etsy, online, just anywhere I could find, and I just sort of decided to make my own instead. And I think it's pretty cool. I have been using it a little bit, but I think I find the Excel spreadsheet more to my liking, but this is still like a really fun way to organize stuff. I know there are people that do like organizing like this, so I just wanted to show you guys anyway, in case this is like something you wanted to do. So I've also made this available on my website. If you guys are interested, you can definitely go check it out there. I should also say that this has been opened in GoodNotes on the iPad. So everything is hyperlinked. It's just how I prefer it. So the first page is an overview of everything. For me, this was mostly just so I could see everything I knit in a year. When I filmed my video last year, I realized that I really didn't know what I had knit because I hadn't really taken note of it. So I thought this was a good way to see if I do finish knitting something, that I can write it down here and be like, yep, I finished that. And when I get to my end of year video, I can have everything ready and available so you guys can see. So the next page I have is the projects page. On this first page here, you can see that it has just a list of everything so that you can put a little picture or a little sketch of whatever it is that you want to pop in there, and then when you click on it, it will take you to a more detailed version of the projects page. I know there are a lot of people who keep a lot of detailed notes for their projects. I'm not one of them, to be honest. I don't really write notes. I sort of keep it all in my head, so it's probably why I forget it, but I think this is a really great place to write down all the information on what you're using for your project. I think the notes are really helpful for you if you do decide, I guess, to make it again in future, or if you want to make adjustments. I know sometimes I like to make adjustments for projects that have a lot of positive E's. Maybe sometimes I don't want to have a lot of positive E's, so I will make it a bit smaller. Or if you just want to know your progress and how you're coming along with it, I think it's a really good spot to do that. But I find for myself, I don't think I really keep a lot of notes, but I really did enjoy making this journal. I use like the sort of classic ruled lines that you used to get in school, like in your notebooks. I think it's called something like, maybe it's called like legal paper, I think, because it's got the blue lines and the red lines and stuff, but I'm not quite sure. But I really loved it. It's a bit nostalgic for me, and I'm all about nostalgia. I don't really know why. Maybe it's like rewriting the past and like turning it into something that you do love and making it like a positive thing again. But yeah, huge props to people who do write really detailed notes on their projects. I think I'm just the kind of person that just has to keep knitting, so I don't have time to write notes. So here is the yarn stash page. I just haven't really used it. I think my Excel spreadsheet works for me, but I know people who are a bit more old school and probably want to write it down, and that's totally cool as well. So this is like a good option for you as well if you do decide you want to do that. The next page I set up is the project designs page. In this page, it is for your own design. So if you want to design something, then this is the page. It's pretty similar to the project page, except it's just a double spread. So I personally imagined this sort of page where you can write a lot of notes, you can draw your design, you could even just have a mood board, which I think would be really cool. So right now I'm filling out for a market bag that I recently did just release, just as an example. It was a pretty fun design. It didn't have any measurements to it, so I can leave that blank, but if you're making like a garment, you can use the measurement section for yourself. I think it's a really good spot if you decide you want to create a mood board. This is where you can sketch your design. You can also write out any ideas or thoughts or any changes as they come along. It's really up to you how you decide you want to use it. But just as an example, I've just popped this in, but I'm sure a lot of people will have a lot better ideas. The next section here I have is the pattern library. In here you can take little screenshots and put your patterns in here. So you can't put it within GoodNotes itself, but I've just taken a screenshot here for example, and you can just pop it in there so you know what patterns you have currently in your library. I've also got a pattern wish list as well, so that if you can just write down all the patterns that you do want as well. Next up is the tools area. I haven't filled it out, as you can see, but I think this is a really great idea. Again, I'm always searching for needles. I do have like interchangeable needles in a case, but sometimes I've got a lot of loose once-off needles I buy sometimes, and I've bought a few doubles of the same needle and not in a size that I need. So I think this is really useful to look at if you are like me and forgetful, so that you know what you have within your needle stash. Here I've done a completed area as well. Again, personally, I don't think I would use this, but I do think it's great. I think people who use the same pattern over and over again, it's really good to know details of it. And here you can sort of give your own little review. You can write about if you liked it or not, and whether you would work it again, all of that sort of stuff. I have a notes section as well. Again, it's like having one big mood board, or it's just having all your notes just in this one digital notebook, which I think is handy for getting all of your thoughts and ideas down. So if it's something you don't really want to pop in one of your project pages right away, then it's definitely an easy thing that you can do. And then down the bottom is just a secret little tab page down there that you can use and fill out however you want, just for if there's something that you prefer to have within a knitting journal, you can definitely add that in there. So this is just a little walkthrough of all of the pages. If you guys like any of these pages, but maybe you prefer it in a printed format, you can definitely do that as well. I do have them as printables on my website as well. If you are interested in that, you can go and have a look at those, and you can, if you're a bit more old school, you can print them out and then stick your swatches on or stick your photographs on, or whichever you prefer. I do recommend printing in colour, so you get the cute little contrasting colours there. The next thing that has been suggested to me, but I've never used myself, is Ravelry, which does, I think, everything that I've basically said, that I've just gone and made more complicated in my Excel spreadsheet. But in here, it's got all the stuff that you need. I've never used this myself. I don't use it. I think because I've already got everything in my Excel, I don't really need this, but I think Ravelry is really great if you do prefer everything in one spot. A lot of it is already in Ravelry's library, like the yarns, and there's patterns they can recommend, so this is a really good option as well. I think out of sheer laziness, I just haven't used it. If there's a specific pattern I want, I will just go through and search for it. But I think Ravelry is really great as well if you wanted to come in here and do your stash and do your projects all in here as well. So these are a few of the things I've been using so far. It's still early, so I'll see how I go, I guess. But if you guys do decide to do the same thing, definitely let me know in the comments below. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed watching, and I will see you guys next time. Thanks.